So over the last decade, we became known as those people who give their age. And so everyone knew our story. We had tripled our giving. We had our mortgage paid off in 10 months instead of 10 years. And we shared it on hundreds of podcasts. We wrote a lot about it in our book. We talked about it in our course. And honestly, we ended up building kind of a whole platform around this thing. But you want to know what's harder than doing something really bold and scary that God asks you to do? It's actually stopping it when he says that the season is over. So my question for you is, what if the adventure God has for you is completely different from what you've been doing? And what if your next level of breakthrough isn't about perfecting the last season, but about having the courage to let it go when God calls you to? So today we are sharing why we stopped giving our age as a percentage of our income, what we are doing instead, and the lesson that changed everything. So let's dive in. So I think this was, 14 years ago when one of the most life-changing things happened to me. One of the things that was one of the things I felt like the Lord spoke to me that impacted our life more than anything was when he asked us to begin giving our age as a percentage of our income.
Yeah, that and adopting, I think, were the two big life-changing,
altering things.
Right.
And so we had done that for 11 years. Mm-hmm. And then the Lord asked us to stop. And we had seen so many miracles through that. And today I want to talk about that. I want to talk about why we stopped, what we're doing instead, and really how this affected our finances personally.
Right.
Because this is such a big thing for us, because we, so many people knew us by our story, knew us as those people.
Right.
So there's a lot wrapped up in all that.
And I think when this first came up for us too, there was a little bit of hesitancy or maybe even just us asking the question of like, I don't want my identity to be wrapped up in this, but also we have wrapped up our identity in this. So what is this going to look like going forward?
Yeah.
And, I think because of that, we've talked about this and we really want to be transparent and, not kind of clinging to this thing that God invited us into before, but clinging to God and following whatever it is, even when it seems like, is this wrong? Is this counterintuitive? What are people going to think?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And for anybody who's listening, like we've shared the story a whole bunch, but I will briefly just kind of take you through the journey. Yeah. So at age 31, we had paid off all of our credit cards, car loans, even student loans, like all of our debt was paid off except for our mortgage.
Yeah.
And
Bob had a plan.
I had a plan to get that mortgage paid off.
Like, this is going to happen.
And sometimes when you have a plan, God wants to tear your plans down and give you his plans, of which I'm so thankful that he did.
Yeah.
Because I had a plan. I had a spreadsheet. And I knew it was going to happen. But that was part of the thing, is that I asked him to help. Well, I asked him to bless my plans. Really, that's what it was. So I came to him, praying this one day. I was up in this field up by our old house. And I remember praying, and Lord, I want to get our mortgage paid off faster. And it's like, I have a plan, but I understand that you can help me do this better.
Right.
If I follow, like I did at least know that much, that God might have a better plan,
Yeah, sure.
But it looked very, very different. And so,
well, it looked completely the opposite of your plan.
Yeah. Because that was the thing. Because as soon as I prayed that prayer in that field that day, I felt like almost instantly, not quite an audible voice, but man, clear as day. I felt like he said, if you really want to see me move on your finances, I want you to begin giving your age as a percentage of your income. In which I had never heard this concept. I had never heard of anyone doing this before.
Right.
I'm like, this makes no sense. Why would I essentially triple our giving so we have no more money to put towards our mortgage? Right. It makes no sense.
Makes no sense. And it doesn't. I mean, and I think that this is how you know that you can give God the glory for the things that are happening, because like you had done the math. That's why we always encourage people to go look at what's going on. Like, make sure you know what's going on, because when the Lord does do a miracle in your finances, like you're very aware
because you've seen the mountain.
This was not me. This was not my idea. My idea was solid. I had a solid plan, but it was not. It never could have been this.
So yeah,
He
so
always
that
knows.
day,
Yeah.
I remember just wrestling with that. And yeah, I mean, like a lot of times when God kind of is leading you to do something, it's like, it's uncomfortable. It's like, I don't know about this. This makes me nervous. And I'm arguing with God and doing the math. And, and I will say this, like, this felt like an invitation. It did not feel like you have to do this.
Right.
Like, it felt like an invitation. And I was reminded of Peter stepping out of the boat when Jesus was inviting him to walk on the water. It's like, you
Rather than
you don't
like,
have to do
do
this.
it, get out of the boat, go.
Yeah, like you don't have to
Right.
do this, but if you want a cool story, I'm inviting you on an adventure if you want to come.
Yeah.
Like that's what the whole thing felt like. And so it didn't feel like a strong-armed pressure thing, you
And
know?
I agree. Oftentimes people will ask me, well, what were you thinking when he comes out with this crazy idea? And I'm like, I felt the same way. Like, that's what's so good about God is that when you are, I think if you are trying to hear him, like even
Yeah.
if you're not totally sure, if
Yeah.
you're trying to hear him from him, I think he gives you those indications, which looks like peace. Like that was what it was, is it didn't feel frantic. It didn't feel like, even though I think we both had some questions of like, how is this going to work out?
Well,
I
no,
don't
it was
think,
scary. Like there's no doubt. Like I remember being nervous about it, but
oh, well, I didn't feel that nervous about it. I felt pretty peaceful about it. It felt like an exciting adventure rather than like, it didn't keep me up at night. Did it keep you up at night?
no. But like, again, seeing the numbers, like running the numbers, it's like, I don't know if we're going to be able to buy groceries if we do this. You know what I mean? Like that was the concern. And again, maybe that was part of it because I was looking at the numbers and you weren't.
I
And you're like,
wasn't.
yeah, let's just go,
I was
but
just-
like
yeah. There
you
is a
know,
lesson in that. There's
some
a
sort of
huge
lesson.
in
Yeah.
that.
But yeah, so for me, it was, I'm looking at the numbers. My plan is all wrecked now because I had a plan. It was going to take 3 or 4 years. And then now God's plan, we're giving all of our extra money away. So we're
Right.
not putting extra towards the mortgage. So now we're back down to 11 years or 10 years to get the mortgage paid off.
Right.
And so he just completely wrecked my plan. And it was scary in that I didn't know what's going to happen. Because it's like the thing that is most likely to happen in the natural is that this isn't going to work.
Right.
And it's like, if any emergency comes up, you're now giving all your extra money away, like it. Anyway, yeah. So it was a little bit of a challenge for me, but at the same time, like I had seen God move in our lives in enough other ways that he had earned some trust.
Right.
And I hate to use that phrase, but that, at my point in life then, that was fundamentally what it was. I had seen him do other things, and it's like, I think I can trust him in this,
Yes. And I mean, I think that's what's so great about God is that he understands that we need to build trust.
Yeah.
I mean, he created us like that. He created us in his image, and he understands how humans work. And so I just like that about God.
Yeah.
That I don't feel like I have to explain myself to him. He already knows, and he knows what's best for me, and he knows how to gently lead me to the things that he wants me to do.
Yeah. So
anyway.
so
Okay.
just briefly, I want to get through the story so we can tell you kind of how
Right.
it transitioned. But okay, so from there, we decided collectively as a couple together that we're going to do this.
We're gonna go for it.
And so that month we began giving 31% because I was 31 at the time, up from our probably 11 that I think 11% that we were giving.
Right.
So almost double, tripling it. And a month goes by, not much happens. Another month, it's like not much happens. I think month 3, it's like, man, the business is starting to pick up. Month 4, I think we got some crazy tax refund we weren't expecting. Like,
yeah.
I don't even know. I don't remember all the things that happened, but it was just month after month, things started happening in one after another after another. Like,
Right.
to the point that just 10 months after we started doing that, we wrote the final check to pay off our mortgage. So even though the plan at that point said it was going to take 10 or 11 years,
Right.
it
And that was
10
with us.
months with us
Yeah.
giving almost all of that away.
Well, yeah, and the 10 years was going to be with us, like really putting all of our energy and effort into, like all of our extra into
that
it.
was the arm of the flesh. 10 years was
Right.
doing all the stuff in the natural. And God's
Right.
like, hey, do you want to do this a supernatural way? And I say this story, and we've told this story, and some people get excited, and some people are like, nice, must be nice, all this stuff. But there's no formula here. So it's not, this isn't something where it's like,
If you wanna pay
you
off your
should run
mortgage.
up and
Right.
do this exact thing. But the formula is obey God. That's the formula.
Yes.
So this is what he had for us. But what does he have for
and
you?
ask him
right?
also. Ask him.
Yeah. No,
Like-
I get, because this all started from me asking, God, can you help me get the mortgage paid off
Right.
faster? Had we not asked that question, I don't think he would have given that answer.
Right.
You know what I mean? It started with the question. And that, again, comes back to something that I think is so important with our finances. It's like, you have not because you
Right.
ask not.
Well, and the other thing that is, I wouldn't say it's the arm of the flesh, but I would say it was our responsibility and our part to play in this, is that when we started seeing some of this uptick in
yeah.
cash coming into our
Yep.
hands, we knew what to do with it.
Yep.
Like
There was
we
a
had
plan
a
in
goal,
place.
there was a plan of what we were going to do with it, rather than it would have been so easy for us to just go nuts and buy
Yeah.
everything we ever dreamed
Let's
of.
buy
You
a
want
beach
boat?
house. Yep. Yep.
Want to go to Europe? But I
But
say that
yeah.
to people because I think it does seem like it's sort of incredible. Like it's not, like in the truest sense of the word, like it is not a credible story. But
Yeah.
the thing is, God brought in extra and we put it where we had decided we were
Yep.
going to put it. So
Well, yeah,
I think
and-
with those two things combined, that's why we saw this happen.
Yeah, and the other piece there is, again, had we not set that goal of paying off the mortgage, like none of this would have happened.
Right.
We literally had to have that goal,
Yes.
or we could not have done it.
Yes.
Because otherwise the money would have come in and we would have just spent it on stuff,
On stuff.
right? But because we
Exactly.
had an intentional spot we were trying to get to, we asked the Lord, invited him into this journey with us. We got on board with what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
That's why, those are like the key ingredients of how all this worked together.
Right.
So anyway, so we continued
So-
from there
Yeah.
for the next 11, 12 years or so, just following that.
Yeah, I guess
and it's
about
like
12.
the Lord had blessed us so much in that. I was like, why would we stop? And so each year we began to increase our giving by 1%, in which I often tell people,
Yeah, the 1% thing, it's the last chapter in the book.
yeah, it's the
I
last
mean,
chapter of Simple Money, Rich
It's
Life.
in our True Financial Freedom program. Like this is a big key because it does help you continue to move forward. It's like a dedication to continue to make a good financial decision.
Yeah. Well, and it's so simple.
It's so simple.
It's
you
so
never
simple. I've
feel
never
it.
heard anyone come back and complain. It was too big of a stretch, Bob. I couldn't increase my giving by 1%.
Right.
Or my savings by 1%. Like,
Yeah.
no one ever says that. And then you do that for a decade and it's like, oh, you just increased both by 10%. So even if you're
Right.
at 0 or 1% now,
Right.
like
Over the next decade.
it's so simple. So anyway, so we just continue to do that
Mm-hmm.
over the next 11 years and it became our normal, and
And the Lord asked us to share about it.
yeah. And
So
after
that's
a
why
few
we've been telling
years,
people about it for a while.
honestly, what was that? After, I guess, 6 years of that and some of those miracles that he'd done that we had literally never told anyone about, no one in our family, our parents didn't even know. Like, we
Right.
literally told no one. The Lord rebuked me and said, I want you to start giving me glory for what I've done in your finances. Of which, I had to wrestle with that a little bit because I'm like, well, I thought we're not supposed to talk about our giving, and I wrote a whole article kind of breaking that down because that's absolutely not true at all.
Well,
It's very misunderstood.
I was going to say,
It's easy to completely misunderstand. I won't get into it now. We'll save it for another episode. But
Right.
But the point is, the Lord made it really clear to me that like you need to start talking about what I have done in your finances as an inspiration to others, to grow in their generosity. And so we began doing that, and that's when we wrote a book talking about it. We created our True Financial Freedom class,
Right.
which we have churches all over the country going
we've
through
been
right
on
now.
podcasts.
Which, by the way, we would love to have
Oh,
you and your church in it.
yes. Yeah.
So reach out to us if you want to get in that. But
But yeah, we've shared it in so many places.
yeah,
We shared it, during the offering
Well,
message at our church.
no, I mean,
and,
and the number of times that I or we have been on someone else's podcast
Right.
and shared that story, I mean, it's like probably 100 times at this point. So
Right.
the point is that we really became known for that, like a big, big part. And so when
And we've had other people come and tell us that they decided to do the same thing,
yep.
which was really exciting.
yeah, we've
'cause-
had students who have
Right.
done that, and which is fantastic. And I love the framework of giving your age as a percentage
Mm-hmm.
because, again, like if we can get our kids to do this, and
my
start from a
gosh.
young age, just continue
Right.
that. Like why not? I love
not?
it. But anyway, all that to say, once we sensed the Lord, I began to sense him kind of, I don't know, it was kind of like a more slower transition. I don't know. I just sense this nudge of like, it might be time to retire that. I'm like, no, this is kind of our thing. I'm going to keep going here, Lord.
Well,
Because of course, like, why would he want us to not give that much?
No, it was interesting because there was a season when, we had this season of abundance, as we've just told you, but we have had seasons where it was not like that. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So since then, there's been a lot of ups and downs, and we have maintained that through most of this time. However, there was a season where things were a lot tighter.
Yeah.
We were saying no to a lot more things, which we didn't have a problem with. I mean, this is just part, like we talk about this all the time. This is part of it. Okay. We didn't necessarily have a problem in that we were like mad at God or, why me, whatever. Like we understood that but it was difficult. And I remember us being like, no, we give. Like that was just always kind of a non-negotiable. So the times were feeling lean, but we didn't care necessarily as far as we were still going to give. I
cared.
Well, no, we were still going to give.
I think you cared. If I remember right.
But I remember reading, I went to a coffee shop and I was just reading the Bible, and it dawned on me that there are times when you are the one giving to those in need, and there are times when you are the one in need.
Yeah, and 2 Corinthians 9 talks about that.
And I was looking at this, and I was reminded of, after I gave birth to my son, I was laying on the bed, and I was holding him, and you were feeding me. You were spoon feeding me.
And you loved it.
Do you remember this? And I was like, I feel like an idiot right now. I remember thinking that because we had 2 other kids and I was the spoon feeder. I was the one used to doing that. But at this point in time, it was not because I had done anything wrong. It wasn't because, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it was not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But I remember feeling like this is a really humbling position to be in, where I need to be spoon fed. Like I can't even lift the spoon to my mouth right now. I was that weak. And also grateful that there were people around me who were not weak and that could do that.
Yeah.
And even though I think there's a lesson to be learned there in humbling yourself and allowing someone to spoon feed you when you need to be spoon fed. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like it really is so like, what do you mean I can't do this? What do you mean I can't? And it's like, there are just those times for one reason or another where you need to be poured into rather than be the one always pouring out. Like God made our humanity like that.
Yeah, well, no, and I think if you don't accept that, then what often comes out of that is an unrighteous self-sufficiency.
Absolutely. Right? And if we are using Jesus as our example, if you watch the life of Jesus, I remember trying to study, I'm like, do they talk about Jesus taking Sabbath? And I think there's a lot of, oh, well, Jesus went and did this on the Sabbath. There's a whole lot of that. But what they don't necessarily call Sabbath, but what actually was his Sabbath rest, is the disciples were like, has anyone seen Jesus? No one can find him. And he's gone. He's off, but he's going to be with the Father. That was his Sabbath. And so even Jesus, in a human body who was fully God still, was like, I have to get the rest. He slept at night. He had to do it because that's what our humanity calls for.
Yeah.
So, I'm thinking about this. All this is swirling around in my head. And I'm like, Lord, I don't want to get caught up in thinking that us giving is on me.
Yeah.
Do we need to be in the position to receive right now? Am I in the position to receive from you at least? Like, am I in the position to receive, or have I taken this role as the giver on myself, which is a beautiful thing until I decide that that's my identity, or that's more important to me than following the leading of the Lord.
Yeah.
And so I was just kind of like thinking about this and wrestling with this. And we had a day when the 2 of us just happened to be, we had a babysitter or something, and the 2 of us met up for lunch. And I started showing you the stuff that I was reading and kind of the things swirling around in my head. And you said, I have been thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah. Like we were simultaneously getting downloads from the Lord. And I think he was both communicating to us both in different ways, but essentially the same thing of it's time to take a break and do something different. And that, like I said, was really, really hard. In some ways, it was harder to stop doing it than it was to start doing it.
Right.
And I learned something about, the difference between obedience and idolatry, because we had obeyed the first time to do that. And then now he's trying to ask us to obey to not do it. But we're making an idol out of the thing that he asked us to do originally that he no longer was asking us to do.
And like, if you look at what has happened in our lives, like we have seen such wonderful blessing that I think we both attribute to the obedience of giving and not holding on to money with a tight fist, but allowing it to be more free flowing in our hands.
Yeah.
And that scared me a little bit of like, what happens if we stop giving? And I think there was a holy fear of it. I think there is a holy fear of it where it's like, Lord, I don't want to get out of the river of blessing that you have me sitting in,
but
where I am. If I stay here, I'm like, we had committed to this and I'm still committed.
Yeah.
But at this point, the Lord was like, the river is moving.
Yeah.
Are you going to move with it, or are you just going to stay here because this was where the river was going?
Are you going to cling to this formula?
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Are you going to turn this thing into a formula that I asked you to do that now I'm asking you to move on to something else?
And I think that was a little bit of like a, proceed with caution type of thing for us, where we're like, I think this is where he's asking us to go, but are we sure?
Well, yeah, and we didn't want to. And to be honest, like I still would like to go back to that.
Yes.
And I hope that we get to at some point.
And I think we're still praying for that also.
Yeah.
Like that's a desire of our heart.
Yeah. But okay, so let's transition now and talk about what we are doing and what kind of came out of that. And so what was interesting to me is I feel like very, very shortly after we decided to lay that down, it's like, all right, Lord, whatever you have, like we'll do.
Yep.
He presented to me, just began highlighting Joseph over and over again, Joseph's story, one way. I mean, literally, it felt like everywhere I turned, I was seeing and reading different books and examples of basically the Joseph strategy of saving 20% for what was to come ahead, to which we had never like seriously committed to, and we had been saving on a regular basis for, all through the time that we were giving, but not at that level.
Well, yeah. And this was something that came up to you that it was just like, I keep seeing 20%.
Yeah. It was just over and over and over again. And so through all this, I just, it became really clear the Lord's like, I want you to start saving 20%. And so ultimately what that turned into for us was us.
Well, and we're still a little bit in this like, maybe recovery mode. I don't think things were quite as tight, but we were trying to recover from things being really tight in our finances, where we're just like, where are we going to come up with 20%? I feel like.
Yeah, no, that took some.
Our oven is broken and we need a new oven.
It took some, creativity thinking through that a little bit.
Right.
But anyway, so what we ended up landing on for us, and which, again, I would love to be able to continue this, is we're now giving 25% and we're saving 20% of income that comes in, and then living off of 55% or whatever. And again, like it's still like, because I say that, I know people might be listening, some people for sure are like, we could never do that. And I very much am in this posture of like, I get it. Like we could have never done it either. It just happens to be what the Lord has called us to and provided for, because he provides the provision for the calling. And so anyway, so that's kind of what we have landed on. And I think, well,
yeah. And I mean, I've never found a ram in a thicket. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I didn't need it.
Yeah.
But we have seen the Lord show up in other ways that are unique to us. And so I think as we're sharing all of this, like I want that to come across really as much as we possibly can, that this is not something we are projecting on anyone. It's literally, we just want to tell the story, and also to, we don't want to sit here telling people that we're still giving our ages as a percentage when the Lord has moved us on to something else.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we want to just give an update of what's going on in our lives, what he's calling us to.
So don't take this as you need to do what we're doing.
No.
I think.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, because my natural thought is, well, it's like, man, we'll just cut your giving way back, and I actually don't think it's that. I actually still think it's about expanding, but regardless, like I think the point is to obey God and follow whatever's having you do. But as far as this 20% savings, like this isn't, I view this simply as preparation for what God is calling us to do. And so regardless of what money is in our bank accounts, it's not ours. We are managers of his resources. And if he has for us to save something up for something that's coming down the road, it's like, great. He's got purposes and he's got plans and we will use it for that. Right. This isn't just, trying to build up barns so that we don't need God anymore and we're fully insulated from whatever. Like we're not doing that, you know? And so the point is regardless of what he calls you to do, if he calls you to pay off debt, if he calls you to save, if he calls you to give or whatever, like if you view yourself as a manager of his resources, then just obey.
Just obey.
And it's all equally holy and righteous,
Yeah.
Now, I do love giving, and I love the eternal benefits of giving. I love the idea of storing up treasures in heaven from our giving. I love seeing the impact on earth. I love how it advances the kingdom. Like, I love all this stuff, But that's not the only way to obey God, as we've kind of seen in all this,
Sure.
So what was cool as a byproduct of all this is once we got this system kind of set up, because, if you've listened long enough, you know that I'm absolutely convinced that one of the most powerful things that we can do with our finances is to automate as much as possible and to eliminate any temptation and eliminate the need for willpower to do anything. And so what I created out of this was essentially an automated savings machine.
Machine.
You like
I
that?
love when you turn everything into a machine. Okay, go ahead.
Tell them about the strawberry machine?
Yeah, Bob has a strawberry machine. He's had several strawberry machines, actually. And his goal is to just have this thing that just pumps out a bunch of strawberries.
All summer long.
But it's always like this new design, new style. I gotta get all this stuff to build a new strawberry machine.
Yeah. So anyway.
So we have a savings machine.
Now we have a savings machine. And so what I love about it is it forced me to kind of work through and create this automated system to where each month we get paid, money comes in, automatically goes over here, and then gets sent to 7 different locations, all completely automated, so it's going to be invested in gold, it's going to be invested into, the S&P 500, into some into Bitcoin, like all these different places. No, but what's so cool about this is, again, set the system up, and then it just runs, and then we don't have to think about it again.
Yeah.
And so out of that, we've built that into our Mission Driven Millionaire program that we have. And so we're in the process of teaching our students that as well. And so anyway, so I'm super excited about it because I think ultimately it's going to be one of the most, just life-transforming things that we've ever created. And so anyway, all that to say, this wouldn't have happened had God not led us on this journey.
Right.
And that's really exciting to me.
Yeah.
Again, that we're already starting to see some of the fruit of that obedience to do this,
Yes. And that's beautiful. Because, that is something that it's like, that is really unique to us. Like, not everybody listening is a financial educator, probably. And they don't need to experiment with their money to see.
And that's the point. That's why we created the system, why we're teaching our students that.
Right.
Because, again, like it's simple. I'll show you the rope, show you exactly what we did, and you can go implement it for yourself.
Yes.
So as I was thinking about this, like just kind of thinking back to us when we were 31 years old, when we started doing this, like what I would say to us at that point.
I feel like a completely different person.
Since then, at that point, no, like that's good. We've grown.
Like
in the
part
Lord,
of me is
right?
like, can I even remember what I was thinking about at that point in my life?
I remember some, but I think one of the things I would say, just kind of summing a lot of this up, is hold your systems loosely and hold your Savior tightly.
Amen. Wow.
Right.
That was good. That was said like a true pastor.
There you go. I think that's the thing, though. It's like, we created a system. I mean, it was the Lord's idea, but we did it. We were following that. But it's like, I never want to get stuck on the thing that he asked us to do.
Right.
And of course, I want to continue that until he asks me something different. But I don't want to quit early. But at the same time, I don't want to overstay my welcome.
Right.
of which there was temptation to do.
Well, okay, so I want to share this really fast. I was talking to a couple of friends maybe a week or two ago, and one of the things we were talking about is now I don't remember the reference, but
The Bible.
the Bible.
In the Bible, somewhere
in the
the
Bible.
depths of the Bible.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart, maybe you know it, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge
Proverbs
him.
3.
And he will direct your paths. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a scripture I had a little song about when I was a little girl.
But you
I still
didn't know
can
the
remember
reference.
it.
But your awesome
Yeah,
husband
but
is
the
nailing
song
it for
is
you.
stuck in my head and there was no reference in the song, so I can't remember it.
That's
anyway,
what they need to do, these little Bible songs.
I know, they really do. But anyway, okay, moving on. So it doesn't say he'll direct your steps. It says he'll direct the path. And I got to thinking about this and I was like, this is crazy. But the thing about it is that he also directs your steps. He says that both of these things are in the Bible.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this and I'm like, okay, so he does direct your steps, but he also directs your path. But all of a sudden it was like these two things are not mutually exclusive. He's not making two completely separate references. He's actually making one, which is when you are eyes straight up at the Lord, he's directing your steps and he's directing the path at the same time.
Yeah.
So, I use the reference of the river, but it really is a path. And it's like, this is the path, but if there is a stick in the way, or if there is a rock or a snake or whatever in the way, if your eyes are on him and he's directing your steps, he's going to tell you where to step to be on the path that is also being directed, unique to us, to me, unique to you. And so I like this idea of just keeping our eyes straight up on the Lord and then following where he leads. Yeah. Because he is going to direct it. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
No, absolutely.
So like if I think about a little baby that is learning how to walk and they're holding my fingers, they've got their hands up above them and they're holding onto my fingers and I am whoop, whoop, walking them around. Yeah. I'm showing them where to go. I'm helping them leap over a big obstacle. Like if there's a log in the way, it's like, whoop, I'm just picking them up and I'm leaping them over the log. They couldn't do any of that on their own. But with me there, they can, or with an adult or whatever. And so, I don't know. I just like that idea.
Yeah, no, that's good. So
that's what we're doing. I think that's what this is for us.
So if you're listening to this conversation, watching this conversation with us, here's a challenge to you. Okay. What is God asking you to do with your finances? This is our story. This is what he's done for us. But I believe he's got that same thing for all of us. And not the exact same thing, but like he's got something for you in your finances. He's got an adventure for you to go on. But I would encourage you to start asking those questions. What do you have for me now, Lord? Yep. What do you want me to do? And get specific. If you want to get your cars paid off, if you want to give $1 million, if you want to start an orphanage, whatever the thing is.
How do I do this?
Ask.
Yeah.
And allow him to start reframing your thinking and get out of the small-mindedness, which is so easy to get stuck into and requires constant renewing of our mind to stay out of that, But yeah, why don't you pray, will you?
Yes.
For anyone?
Yes.
With any of that?
Lord, I thank you that you are always there. You're an ever-present help in the time of need, that you are invested in our lives and that you care. So God, all the cares that we might be carrying right now that we have in our financial lives, I ask you to take them right now. I just ask you to take them. And Lord, we ask that in place of taking these cares, that you would give us direction, that you would show us what you want us to do. And also help us to keep our eyes fixed on you. Help us to keep going back to your word, renewing our mind over and over, remembering your faithfulness, recalling the things that you have already done in our lives that have shown exactly who you are. Help us to remember who you are. And I pray that we would just continue on the path that you have for us. Help us to continue in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
This is what Kesha had to say about our book, Simple Money, Rich Life.
First and foremost, Simple Money, Rich Life. Y'all know that I've been reading this book, and hands down, I would go as far as saying this is probably one of the most monumental books in my life.
And did you know that you can get a copy for free?
You can get it on Amazon, but we so believe that the church needs this message that if you can cover shipping, we'd love to cover the cost of the book and send you a free copy.
All you need to do is go to seedtime.com/free to get yours.